212 CTM. What's going on, everyone? I hope you're well and doing great on this FOMC day, this Wednesday here. So happy to be here with all of you and see all of you in the room this morning. V4 and how it's navigating. You know what? Ethereum here on V2 is navigating even better. Let's just jump in and just see what is going on with V4, and you can see long trade following suit on V4, but V2, what? You know, I'm starting to get really frustrated with with TradingView. I don't even have my phone logged in right now, and I keep getting all these sessions disconnected. Not a fan. Not a fan whatsoever. But either way, whatever. We see that the entry here on V2, in this case, on this forward test, is superior. We do see V4 entering here, following the suit. Look at that. It's just nasty that they do this. But we have here a lead of about 6.7% on our current V2 trade. And that's holding here right now 100% of the lift for those that are trading buy side boost. You can see also over here, the only other position we have right now in the markets ahead of the Fed, ahead of the FOMC, is simply Tesla long and Ethereum long, right? And then you can see Tesla barely here holding. So I would say going into today's event, whether or not it's going to be perceived as a hawkish cut, whether is Powell probably going to try to walk the dance of like, listen, January is going to be data dependent. It depends on whether or not we see further deterioration of the jobs market. Likely. Is the market probably prepared for that? I imagine so. Does the FOMC matter more than the Bank of Japan coming up on the 19th? Is the Fed going to announce today any type of reserve balance sheet management? Is it going to be something like the expectations of $20 billion a month? Or are they going to exceed that? $45 billion a month. A lot of people will argue, well, it's not really QE because they're not buying long duration. Rates right now are not close to the zero bound, so it's not technically QE, which it's not. QE light, organic balance sheet expansion, whatever have you, all as I know, and it's the only thing that we have to go off of in the advent of this new Fed cycle, is that last time this occurred back in late 2019, it was very conducive to risk. So if they come in with higher than anticipated expectations of something like $45 billion a month in reserve management purchases, that's going to make me say, well, you all know that to me, I believe that's going to be conducive to risk and be very bullish. If they don't mention it at all, that would be very hawkish to me. If they're like, yes, the balance sheet is going to move up eventually, but whether or not that's this month or next month remains to be seen. To me, that will be a little bit of hawkish. That might put the market under a little bit of pressure where the market starts pushing the Fed. Hey, listen, we want a January cut, you know. But and just for perspective, it was $20 billion a month, or roughly right around the last time they went ahead with their organic balance sheet expansion. That's what I'm watching today. I expect that Powell is going to try to push back, talk back expectations of any cut into January. And I'm more concerned with, so like to me, that's not anything new. What I in January right now, by the way, is pricing in a 70% chance that the Fed pauses. So that's more that like that's already priced into the market. Doesn't seem that even a hawkish cut to me would be something like where the markets are gonna throw any type of unexpected tantrum as we saw last month in October, because last month the markets were not expecting Powell to come in and say, oh, by the way, December might not be in the cards. And markets were like, whoa, what are you talking about? And they're like, just kidding. And markets like, oh, okay. And here we are. And technically right now, we have seen obviously the markets be able to, when I say the markets, when we talk about markets on crypto Twitter, a lot of people just assume that means Bitcoin. But obviously the markets are a lot more than Bitcoin. And I erroneously keep saying when I'm talking about the NASDAQ, the markets, right? So sorry for that. But the NASDAQ, ever since, has made not only a strong repair, continues to consolidate ahead of the FOMC's decision. So those are things I'm watching. My expectations that Powell's going to try his best to keep January open and say that in order for that to happen, we need a strong deterioration in the jobs market. I'm not seeing that happening, so likely we're going to see markets remain on, stable. If they come in and they don't mention anything about reserve management, the balance sheet reserve management, at that point, that would be, for me, really hawkish. Or if they try to say that, you know what, like when it begins, no big deal. Markets probably want that injection of liquidity. If they come out with higher than expectations, that to me is going to say, I don't know what happens today, and I don't know what happens over the next couple of weeks, but those type of forces are probably into the first quarter are going to be for sure showing up here in price, and we're going to be seeing risk going higher. Expectations are that tech leads, and then we see, of course, soon thereafter, Bitcoin and crypto be able to find their footing. That's where I'm at right now. Tesla seems to be a little bit in jeopardy. It's got that tight stop loss of 1.8%. So if there was some type of risk off reaction to today's FOMC, Tesla's in jeopardy of stopping out. It looks like we got a big cushion here with Ethereum, and we are comfortably positioned in so much that we got a couple of feelers on, you know. Buy side boost is different than the rest of us. Obviously, buy side boost, they're carrying a heavy position here, 100% of their account. However, with an 8.5% cushion, should be in pretty good situation, pretty good shape. Bitcoin here continues to, there you could see our resistance that we've keyed off of and has so far held. Let's take a look at it. I'm just getting a little annoyed here. So, I mean, you know what? Like, it's so crazy. And just to jump back to the trading view, maybe someone has a better solution for me. You know, I like shut down my laptop to make sure, even when that thing's closed and sleeping, every like so often it'll like refresh something that would cause it to go off. So I shut that off. On my phone, I've been trying to make sure that, you know, especially ahead of one of our sessions, that I'm not looking at the phone at all, and that I just keep it on this. But that's just not, whatever. I'm not going to sit here and complain about small things. We'll figure it out, and I'll figure out some type of system and rhythm in order to keep it, just better for us. So this resistance, this structural resistance, and it's kind of neat. I mean, you all obviously understand how the market structure works, but most people are stuck on like horizontals. But you could see how it's just riding up over there. That's our main resistance. We need to break out and close above. And then we have obviously the 1.0 conservative line above that. On the downside, a clear rejection of the green line, which looks like bearish continuation pattern developing, a break, a close below, 87,500. That's likely bringing in a retest of the lows. And just so you all are aware of, like myself, I'm just going to zoom out, just get a better look before I give those expectations. But yeah, I don't see any. I do see a little bit. Hold on one second. So I'm just looking for what's below, and I'm just putting this structure over here off of that resistance, that support. I was looking for the support after the intern leak and ahead of the spot ETF launch. We were able to find some type of support. So, 80,000, taking out that wick over here from November and looking into that structure. That's a big test. Sorry, 78,000. If we were to break down below here, that's where I'd be watching for the first opportunity to find some support to be. We'll see what happens, or whether or not today. Yeah, I mean, I suppose I'm just gonna have to take it off my phone or something, or I don't know. Um, I don't mean to bring small things into the conversation. It's just annoying when I spent all the time getting all these tabs ready for y'all, and we go to present, and then all of a sudden TradingView goes ahead and kicks off this thing. Nevertheless, here we are, y'all. Again, just to look at the resistance that we're definitely having trouble with right now. MicroStrategy almost broke out. You saw that over here. You might have seen this over here. Let me just jump back and show you. Boom, boom, boom. Strategy wicking in to here and rejecting, stabilizing. It still looks like it has a bearish continuation pattern forming. We're very close to attacking once again on the short side. And we'll see. Browser. I used to be able to use my phone app and then also the browsers like in conjunction all the time with no issues. It's only recently, over the last couple of weeks, it seems, that if I use my phone, I'll get a session disconnected. So that's true too. Nothing like the hive mind. Speaking of that and solutions, I'm trying to wrap my brain around taking the focus here in 2026 in the beginning and dialing in a little bit firmer 1 hour solutions on stocks with our V2 templates and seeing if we're able to go ahead and dial those in for those that are a little bit more active. I only use the app on the phone. I don't use any tabs on the phone. Ace, what are you looking at over here? Yeah, right now Ace is pointing out, right, even if we click short on the deviation, that we do have the JV filter right now and the ST1. Oh, sorry about that. All of them. I was looking at the long side, and you can see over here we have the CTM filter, also the JV filter, and the ST1. Nevertheless, on any type of impulse down, the CTM will be active if it were triggering this or right around it. But JV1 and ST1 are off. Good luck over there. Ace as well. No. So jumping back over here, Cabby, and when you're looking at, the spot ETF over here, I have it on GBTC here only because of the fact that I was looking at longer history. I traded it on iBit personally. You can trade it on any of the spot ETFs ever since performance has aligned. It was modeled on JBTC. Performance is aligned for all the spot ETFs. This is traded on V2 stocks here. It is to be Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, and Cardano on V4. Yeah, I think it's time, Ace. I'm feeling an itch. I'm feeling a strong itch over there. So, Ryan, this is probably the way to go, like the fail safe. And you're right. Go into session history and log out of everything here except this one machine, and that will prevent it. It's hard not to check my phone all the time, but maybe what I need to do is do like a some type of remote session onto my machine off of my phone. So like I'm checking, like on my phone, I'm just checking off of a desktop, and then I won't have that solution. I think that's the fail safe, Ryan, is to go ahead and log out everything except the one machine, and then on my phone to access it otherwise. Sailor also, we've always said, I mean, for sure, Sailor's, he thinks, I believe he thinks, and he's thinking long term. I don't think he has the same time horizon as many people out there on X. And but yeah, simple model. Cabby, where were you looking? How it compare? Can we look at how the IBT model compares to the BTC? No, you couldn't trade. By the way, Cabby, it won't work if you try to trade like IBIT out on V4. It's not gonna produce the same work. A lot of people and all of us, it's very real, and it's nothing wrong with it. It's just the way that we're all wired. We all have what's called recency biased, right? And right now, a lot of us are stuck on, you know, this last year and the price action that has ensued. Some people call it a bear market. I don't think it is anything resembling a bear market since 2000, since the election in 2024. What we did see, and you like come back to the new year, January, this is going to be the first year, the year after the halving, that we run or close negative. We're right on the line right now. It could go either way. But price this year is flat, and you had obviously months of consolidation, a sharp move down, consolidation. This this nice channel. Look at the structure, right? Hold on one second. It's so beautiful that I just want to. I noticed that the two touches into there deserve, even though I try to keep things clean, a little bit of structure placement. You could see it over there going back to the summer of 2024. And that one is so important too because of the last high. But point being is it's such a tight range, right? Even though price is rising here from 94, $30,000 rise, which is probably like on a percentage basis, what is that? 30% rise, which is not much for Bitcoin, but it's a very narrow range as you're rising over here. And then this sell-off, which was only really capitalized on that leverage on MicroStrategy, it's been an extraordinarily trying year for a lot of people. I think many Bitcoiners are leaving the space, honestly. I'm not talking about those OG hodlers that have been distributing throughout this time. For me, that's massively long-term bullish to see that many of these long-term hodlers have gone ahead and they have exited the space, but it's gone into what I would deem more corporate or institutional minded hands. And you know, I think that it went into a new set of long-term hodlers, or in the case of MicroStrategy, with the intent of really never letting go. Of course, we all know very clearly now, as we guessed early on, like of course MicroStrategy could have to sell their Bitcoin. There could be a situation where they were forced to do that in order to pay off of their exotic product dividends. But you know, long term, what they're trying to do here is take as much coin off the market and keep it off the market. Um, I think that a lot of people over the last, 5 years were, and especially off of the 2003 low, a lot of people were holding, instead of Bitcoin, altcoins, and they put themselves in a really bad position, just left behind on Bitcoin. And now, 4 year cycle, bear market 2026, a lot more people here between, I don't know what prices. I'm sure someone sold the top, but most people, it was really on the break of that mythical weekly 50 SMA closer to 100,000. They're like, okay, I'm out. 4 year cycle, bear market coming in. I'm gonna buy back lower, and I'm gonna buy back after like a 70% drawdown. $35,000 Bitcoin looks attractive. Maybe we even get lucky, $15,000 Bitcoin, and that's a plan for a lot of people. And maybe that works out, but I see the Fed pivoting over here. The balance sheet has been contracting. It's the first time that the balance sheet has been contracting with tight monetary policy. and Bitcoin going up. Here's QT running previously, and then here's QE. Remember, I always say the bull market doesn't begin until monetary policy aligns. This whole bull market, which we have been on the right side of, has been during tight monetary policy. Yeah, what's different is obviously the dynamic of fiscal dominance, but monetary policy is now changing. And it is, first of all, QT has now stopped. Second phase is the balance sheet is getting ready to begin expanding upwards. And as that happens, as monetary policy begins to align, and obviously US government doing everything they can during this great AI boom to go ahead and engineer as much growth as possible, do their best to grow their way out of these massive deficits. Business cycle looks like it has been compressed, elongated, and is getting ready in the time ahead to actually reaccelerate and move up. The worry is that a lot of people, it's a worry because we care about people. We care about the people, right? And the problem is that a lot of people who are left behind misallocating into altcoins at this particular point in time. Now you're seeing other people, the last of the Bitcoiners, they're also getting tired. They're getting worn out. They're capitulation by exhaustion, and they're exiting here. And if my whole premise is correct about where this cycle continues to go, they then become left behind and further casualties. You know, why does strategy MATR? I don't know what MATR is. I I'm not familiar with the product MATR. Is that one of Strategy's products? I'm not remotely familiar with MATR. Matter? Is that a typo? SS? Uh is it A next to S? Oh, MSTR. Why you saying why does Strategy hold nearly 2 billion in cash? There you go. Um SS. So I don't know. A week ago, I thought that the strategy was talking about via their CEO of going ahead and raising roughly $1.4 billion in cash and doing that by further diluting MicroStrategy shareholders in order to have like cash on hand in order to meet their obligations for all of these dividends that they must pay, right? We have this whole saga going on. And I did they raise this week? I'm not sure. You know, is that what you're talking about? I don't know. All those I know is, and the truth is for every one of us, right? Like, let me just jump down over here. Boom, boom. Like fundamentals are great and they're important. And when you have the fundamentals line up with the technicals, that's truly when the magic happens, right? Here's the perfect example of what I mean by that. Like what do you mean when the fundamentals align with the here is, this is CTM just purely on the technicals, and we're like that's is a massive cup and handle, and now we're breaking out and we're entering a super cycle, and then the fundamentals during this period of time turn towards, okay, now we're seeing for the first time central banks in 14 years own more gold than US treasuries. So that's the fundamentals and the technicals aligning, and when that happens, that's when the magic happens. On MicroStrategy over here, man, we were so close. We tried getting that launch pattern. We went long um, on our template. Took like a 5% save, exited the market, and then for this 50% crash, we're just out of the market on the sidelines. Those that trade buy side only. Shorts took an incredibly nice piece over here. And, a template will go an extraordinary long way. You never know what's going to happen in the future. and Bitcoin included. My has personally none of my like prospects have changed for what I see the role of Bitcoin and what I foresee happening as far as the adoption continuing to really grow. And then I'm seeing also not only and again, I don't look at Google Trends and I'm not seeing like retail who's buying looking to buy Bitcoin. I'm looking at the amount of money coming into the space, and the amount of money and the investor profile is changing massively. And Bitcoin, the adoption continues to roar right now as also government policy and strategies align. And then you look at, right, the other one is the devaluation of the underlying. Are we going to continue to see the devaluation of the dollar? Well, of course, that's all variable, and technology is doing some wild things these days. And maybe 5 years from now, we'll be like, you know what? The US has once again, through Amazon and Tesla, right, through Macro Hard and through Bezos's new venture, which is the same idea as Macro Hard, having AI develop and then manufacture in the same facility anything. And like, does China lead in manufacturing today by an enormous distance? Is it potentially possible with the innovation technology that tomorrow that the U.S. is becoming, the leader or matching for stride? Yeah, 5 years from now, the world's going to look entirely different. Could we be in a position 5 years from now where the situation is changing, where it looks like, you know what, the US for some reason is going to be able to start, like, first of all, running a balanced budget. They're going to be able to take in more income than they're spending, and they're going to be able to pay off this deficit. Maybe that's not the direction we're headed in right now. And actually, the direction we're headed in right now is that the Fed is about to begin printing again. I don't care if you call it QE or not. The balance sheet, as of now, is going to begin to rise, and that's going to continue until the next massive devaluation. The case for Bitcoin is as strong as ever, and yeah, here we are. Deep power. MicroStrategy seems to be doing everything it can to get its house in order. I like it. I I know that 18 months ago, I was just like, listen, Sailor is playing for himself. Don't, like, get caught up in that. Then a lot of other people recently have gotten on him. Right now, you know what? I don't, it seems like they're doing everything that they need to do in order to continue to do what their long-term goals are. That is, I mean, I think there will come a time when, like, pilots right now and for the foreseeable future is fantastic profession, especially young kids going into the field. But I could imagine, right? I mean, for the next decade, I'm sure that you want a pilot in any aircraft, and maybe always. But I could imagine even when that pilot is there to supervise, right? Full self flying is going to probably be automated. Uh, I know that Allstate Insurance laying off attorneys and continue to do so, and I think that not only I think the job market is going to stabilize here. There's no question as people retire from the workforce, we're going to continue to lose jobs. Boomers making up a large part of that demographic that are moving towards retirement. And then also you're going to see that efficiency in layoffs continuing as well. But I do believe in productivity increasing, right? Especially as we continue to develop these tools, which are absolutely fantastic when used correctly. All right. Coming in today, Powell gets the mic. Ace is saying, be careful. First of all, bonds here are like Fed's cutting, bonds rising. Bonds are showing you that they expect a right now, right? This is a sell impulse. If that's faded at any point in time, we'll be on it. But right now, it looks like they're pricing in recovery. This is the thing to watch, and everyone has on their radar. Is the Bank of Japan going to raise rates on the 19th? Are they going to defer to January? And if they do, how long will they be able to hold it off? What will the market's reaction going to be? We just had a major episode a year ago, year and a half ago, and I don't I don't think that's what's ahead. Doesn't mean it's not going to happen. There's nothing. Never get comfortable. Never get comfortable. Right now, and what you've just witnessed over the last 6 weeks should be an amazing reinforcer to you. The importance of having a plan and trading that plan, a mechanical strategy to keep you on the right side. I even go back further than that to September and sit September. And I was expecting September and October to get chopped up. It's not what happened. We were able to tweak out and also as I clearly on Monday like discussed and reinforced for everyone coming in 2026, you need that diversification between not only Bitcoin and crypto, but also stocks and yes, I also think that this might be a really opportune time to line into some altcoins and that, over the next as we finally inch closer to where I think we're going to see the the acceleration of the business cycle that's been suppressed into the coming year, right? Um, that altcoins here might. I guess what I'm trying to say there is even if we see an outperformance in Bitcoin and crypto in the year ahead, don't forget the importance of having that diversification into stocks. Yeah, I saw it. I've had my eye on this for a while. Some people are like, oh, but there's a 2% fee. I was like, okay, well, you could try to get SpaceX shares off the private market. Good luck. Um, Here we go. Ah, so what happened here is, oh man, 2% fade. Things up 50% in the past week. I didn't get any. I've been watching it and stalking it, and I wanted it, and I didn't get any. And so what happened though is that SpaceX is now working towards a 2026 IPO, expected to be roughly, $1.5 trillion valuation. And you could see here Destiny Tech 100, one of its largest holdings, SpaceX, definitely keying off of that news. We just saw a black diamond and now a conservative breakout in play. My one concern though with this particular holding, this OpenAI is also one of their biggest holding, and I know OpenAI is trying to go public next year if possible. I also know that I don't know if OpenAI is going to pull it off or not. Um, some people were talking about recently that other models are now far superior to OpenAI and maybe on benchmarks, but and maybe for specific tasks like coding. But I then tried using Gemini, and OpenAI does a better job, at least for what I would be using the tools for or use the tools for. So I'm not sure. Do I think that? I mean, I would think that there's the potential that that OpenAI is vulnerable. I don't know. SpaceX, they have an enormous amount of revenue coming in from their what's the satellite thing? Internet. I'm looking right at it, the box, and I can't even remember the name. Starlink. They have a massive amount of revenue coming in from Starlink. The U.S. government makes up a small portion of their revenue, which is good. They're not relying on the U.S. government. they are expected to be able to begin moving these data centers into space. It's going to be probably like, but OpenAI, I don't know. I don't know how good I feel about the prospects of OpenAI succeeding. And that's is a large holding, and maybe they will. I mean, there's a good chance that they can, but they're a lot more vulnerable, right? They're losing an enormous amount of money. Now, don't forget, Amazon, when they first launched, was losing an enormous amount of money, but they were gaining an enormous amount of market share. OpenAI has like real contenders and competitors. So it's different. They don't have any type of moat around their business. So what you're seeing here is the Starlink IPO being priced in right over here, appropriately so. That's my thought on that. Privacy coins have, so I don't know. Question is, and talking about Monero, whether or not it's a dead coin, and Zcash. Obviously, you've seen a lot of hoopla and talk about Zcash, and I don't think it's for the tech. I think it's for the marketing budget, and the marketing budget's also built into the tokenomics of Zcash. So it was a very clear marketing campaign that you saw towards the top of the Zcash pump, which was, took a big hit, but also did Bitcoin and crypto at the same time. Um, which has better privacy features. I remember the IRS putting out a bounty on anyone who could break the encryption on Monero. I don't know that they've done that for Zcash or need to. I don't know. Yeah, that I don't know whether, and yeah, I just don't know what, like, in the privacy coins, what their future will be. Um, which is the horse to bet on. If so, it seems that that time is also not now, right? But I just don't know. I'm not one to give an opinion when I don't feel confident about offering anything to the conversation worthy. I think that's good, and with the expectation of, yeah, through this period, right? Like, everyone is aware that there could be a potential risk off event coming, triggered by the BOJ. We could see Powell trigger a bit of a risk off move, right? Defensiveness. We could see a situation where the market was like, no, I want to cut in January. You see the market start trying to price one in by selling off hard and push it. We've seen that many times. That all could happen. A lot of people are in the defensive right now. And maybe that's the risk, but we'll find out. Maybe they're right. People are for sure getting smarter. So we'll see. I mean, I just always dreamed of seeing that happen on Bitcoin. You know, privacy. I believe privacy is a right. Obviously, Bitcoin is an open ledger. Um, yeah, and Amazon too. I agree with you. All right, y'all. Let's leave it to Powell. Let's see what he says. We'll group up. We'll group up afterwards. We'll take it all in, and we'll be looking ahead. Right now, positioned well. Ethereum long, Tesla long, slightly positioned and on the right side. We'll see whether or not Powell opens up the door for any follow through one way or another. We got our Cardano ready to attack on the short side. Maybe MicroStrategy again if it were to open up some of the filters. But we're strong coming into the central bank week. We got today Powell and the FOMC, and then we have Bank of Japan coming next Friday. Everyone, have a beautiful day. No, not today. We'll how do you say? tomorrow. But how do you say like, well, I don't know. We'll debrief tomorrow. Everyone, God bless you. I'll see you all back now on the inside.